This lesson, we're finally going to learn what the static keyword means in regards to variables and methods. So this lesson should be completed by tomorrow, Wednesday, February 23rd. So there's two objectives of this lesson. The first one is we want to be able to define behaviors of a class using static methods. And then we also want to be able to define static variables that belong to a class. So first, we'll talk about static methods. Static methods are associated with the class, not the objects of a class. Static methods include the keyword static in the header before the method name. So the word static comes before the method name. Static methods cannot access or change the values of instance variables. So remember, when we have accessors and mutators, those can change the values or access the values of instance variables, but static methods can't. However, static methods can change or access the values of static variables. And static methods are unable to call non-static methods. So really only static methods can work with each other and static variables. So here's an example. We have a class, and notice that there's the main method, which is always static. You've been typing that word for a while. You just didn't know what it meant. And then we have a static method called double this. Here in the main method, we're able to call double this without creating an object because they're in the same class and they are both static. So we get to avoid doing object name dot method name. You can just call the method right away. So take a moment to analyze this class and think about what's the result of running this program. So this is kind of what's happening in the double this method. So this method can be called from the main method because both methods are defined as static. So you have to be aware that the scope of the variables is inside the method where they're created. So the x in the main method is not the same as the x that's in the double this method. Okay, x is a primitive data type, and the variable that was passed into double this was by value, meaning that a new variable in memory with a copy of the value is created in the static method. So they're not the same. One is a copy. They're not stored in the same address. Then there are static variables. Those do belong to the class, and they belong to all the objects of the class, sharing a single static variable. So static variables can either be public or private, depending on how you want to use them, and they have the static keyword before the variable type. So static variables are used with the class name and the dot operator since they're associated with the class, not objects of the class. So here you can see we have the class pet tester, and then we also have the class pet. So in the class pet, you can see a static variable named count. And there's only one copy created per class, so this variable will be incremented every time a pet object is instantiated, as you can see in the constructor. Right? The count gets increased every time you add a new pet object. We have pet dog equals new pet Rover, pet cat is a new pet named Kitty, and a pet fish is a new pet named Goldie. So what do we think is going to print out here? If we have the count increasing every time we make a new pet object, and our toString is just returning the name, what should print here? So take some time to think about what's the result of running this program. So the static variable count does belong to the class, and there's only one copy of it. The instance variable name is not static. So each instantiated object will have its own name. And that's it for static methods and variables. So go ahead and complete the Code HS for lesson 5.7.